Hello everyone, Nougat here, and welcome to another match of Littlewargame. Today, I am bringing you a game played on Ravaged AA4 against the two opponents that we have. We have a guest playing the blue pieces on the bottom right, as well as CpS playing with the red pieces in the top left corner of the map. Now, I started this video about a minute and a half into the game, so right off the bat, we can see what opening strategies they're going for, and that way I save a little bit of time so that you guys don't have to watch the boring parts. But it does look like the guest here is going for a workshop opening, while CpS himself is going for a rather standard a standard Rax opening, going for that Raider. So before I get too far into the game, if you enjoy my content, and you know what is my content, I try and make daily little war game videos for your guys's pleasure. And if you enjoy watching that, I ask that you subscribe and that you leave a like and comment what you think cool strategies are. It's really fun for me to get to see what your reactions are, especially as we head into this game. So let's go ahead and look at the action that is going on. CpS going for this scouting raider. Looks like he has another one on production now. Essentially, it looks like what he's going for is a worker kill, as well as denying his opponent's second for a little while longer. As we can see here, the guest, his opponent, he's finally got a Gatling out. But a little bit of good Raider micro makes it so that he can leave. Now let's see if CpS is going to get a little bit greedy. This is interesting. So interesting tip that I like to do is for your production, you can actually for this icon here, when you queue where you want your production to go to, and I think you do that by pressing Y, you can actually press on top of another unit, and that unit will rally to that one. And so theoretically, CpS could have had two raiders on the other side of the map and do a little bit of harassment by that time. Very curious who this guest player is. Obviously not someone that's new to the game. If you're reading along with the comments on the bottom of the screen here, you can see that they're having a conversation, talking about how long they've been playing together. Okay, so I like what CpS is going for here. He's going for a second barrack, and he's also going for the house. So very strong military opening. He's also going for some more raider harass. So he's getting great value from this fight so far. And as long as he doesn't lose any raiders, the fact that he was able to just move across the map into his opponent's base and kill two of his Gatling guns is really, really powerful. And it looks like that is the aggression that CpS is gonna go for. And the tech of choice, I actually agree with this a lot. The tech of choice is the advanced workshop, and he's most likely going to go for some airships, which is pretty strong, especially with Raider harass, because you can definitely get into these worker lines and dish a lot of damage, especially against a very immobile mech player that we have. Interesting choice by the guest, though. It looks like he's going for a very fast third base, so he's staying on one workshop of production, but he is focusing the economic game, while his opponent is just now going for defensive archers as well as third base of his own. So at this point, we see that the Raiders have arrived. They'll blink upon their opponent. As long as CpS can micro this just slightly better, I think he'll get a lot of value here. I think what I would have tried to do if I would have played this game, every time I blink, I would want to surround my opponent's army to make sure that he can't retreat, to make sure I can get as much damage as possible. And so, CPS is doing a very good job of getting, of killing Gatling guns and making sure that he doesn't lose too much. I believe he lost 2 raiders in there. Okay, just 1. So just losing 1 raider to his opponent's 5 Gatling guns and 2 workers is definitely very, very good. At this point, I would, well, I would actually keep this aggression up. The fact that I have 5 raiders versus 3 Gatling guns, I feel like that would be a good. I would much rather have the raiders in that situation. I feel like that'd be very strong. CPS going for some defensive towers, or just the 1 tower for now, while at the same time being very economic and going for workshops of his own. So this is going to be pretty interesting. I actually like this choice because you can go for forges, and that'll help you get barrack upgrades as well as mech upgrades, because you can choose once you get the forges up which kind of upgrades you want to go for. At this point, CPS needs to get a house because he is supply blocked, while his opponent has plenty of supply to deal with. The guest did make an airship of his own, so very curious to see how that is going to work. Looks like he also spotted out this drop beforehand, and he is sending out the Gatling guns in response. Now, I'm very curious to see what CPS is going to be doing at home in response to the fact that that he's out on this attack. Looks like at this particular moment, he's not doing too much. If this were me playing, I would probably get a 4th base at this particular time. But it looks like instead he is going for, CPS is going for some catapult production. Oh, looks like the guest will lose his airship to that group of archers. Raider's still doing a lot of damage at home. I don't believe he's lost another raider, no, so he's doing a very good job of simply harassing in his opponent's base and really forcing him to stay home and to play defensive at this point. Some defensive towers come up, so that's a good way for this guest to get rid of some additional resources that he doesn't need at this particular time. And it looks like CPS, the player in red, might feel like this is a particularly good time to move across the map. I actually don't agree with that. I've never seen an opponent go for this many towers though, so that'll be very intriguing. Especially as you might try and move in, and I would do this as quickly as possible actually, especially if you're going to distract your opponent. I'm hoping CPS can have a 2-pronged attack where he can attack with his main force probably over here, while at the same time having his raiders come in on the sides and start doing a lot of damage at home. So that'll be very interesting. Let's go ahead and look back at the production. Looks like, oh, this is very intriguing actually. So CPS just getting his 4th base. Looks like the guest player is going for some beast play. So by the time that this fortress is done being made, the guest will also have this wolf den being made, and then he can possibly go for dragons if that's what he decides to do. Keep an eye out for that. And it looks like that is indeed what he decides to do, going for 2 dragon layers at this particular moment in time. I have no problem with going for dragons. I think it's a very good late game unit. It gives a lot of value, I'd say, especially if you can get the best engagements possible. So as you can see at this point, another drop going on. Hopefully CPS can go for a frontal assault at the same time. That way the guest here can't really use any of those units. And so this will be very intriguing to see. I hope same time CPS can keep an eye on his production at home. It's terrible to be floating this many resources. If we look at the top right corner of the map, we can see the resources. But it looks like CPS is going straight for the engage. The guest's army is stuck at home, so now is trying to come back. CPS with the airships was able to pull his army quicker to get to this engagement. CPS with these catapults and the fact that they do area of effect damage, doing a really good job of killing that grouped army that was there. And so if we take a look at the map here, definitely feels like CPS is in a very strong position with 4 bases against his opponent's 3 bases. His opponent has just now lost a lot of his army, and we can look at the units. He only has 1 catapult in his entire army left at this particular moment, and so it will be very intriguing to see maybe what decisions have to occur in order for there to be a potential victory. As you can see, though, CPS rallying his forces across the map to his opponent's base. CPS doing a good job of killing his opponent's production as much as possible. At the same time, Guest is trying to get some production going, especially in the form of these dragons. They do finally come out, and these dragons should be the answer to the catapult situation that we had going on. So CPS simply going in a little bit harder due to the fact that he knows he'll lose these catapults. And so I'm very curious to see what his response to this is going to be. It looks like CPS is going to decide to spend some of his resources to get more barracks and particularly to get more archers. I wouldn't mind seeing 2 ballistas and an airship for very mobile ballista support is very strong at this point. I wouldn't mind seeing a 5th base coming out as well as a potential 6th base. As we can see, CPS's main base only has about 500 resources remaining, and it is extremely important in this game to make sure that your income is high and that your bases are many. Looks like Guest is going for a little bit of a harassment course with these raiders. Now, dragons do area of effect and more damage to workers that are mining. So it looks like CPS's response to this force is sending in the ballistas to counter this dragon movement. His opponent going for a 4th base of his own, and looks like CPS, he's still floating resources. He still is being supply capped. So as we can see, there's plenty of things that both of these players could be doing to be bettering their strategy in this game, I would say. All right, what else can we discuss? All right, so ballistas and another airship. So CPS, in order to very hard. Oh, okay. I'll talk about this in a little bit. The fact that CPS has his archers grouped up so much really allows these catapults to get a lot of value compared to when the archers are split up to the point where you can't get area of effect attacks, similar to what just happened. And this engagement is actually pretty rough indeed. I'll talk a little bit about this engagement, but first, as we can see, these dragons are doing an absolute mess of these unsupported catapults. Hopefully the guest. Okay, so the guest does lose 1 dragon, but as you can see, simply cleaning up with the units that he does have. And so what I wanted to say in all of that is that the guest had a very strong defensive position with his catapults being spread out in locations like this. And so that really meant that his opponent, which was approaching from this area, really fell into the trap of having his entire army basically wiped out, and due to the fact that they were grouped and that catapults did a very good job of doing area of effect. All right, so it looks like CPS is doing a much better job of spending his resources now. However, as we can very easily see, these workers are not very efficient any longer, as CpS has just now started his 5th base, and if I was, if I was CpS at this particular moment, I would try and do anything possible to get another base going as well. So this is going to be interesting. CpS unintentionally scouts the fact that his opponent's army is here. And so I think this is a very interesting strategy that I feel like more talented players should include into their game. And that is the idea of putting their units onto the map. Oh, as we see this engagement with this many catapults attacking the very grouped, very grouped archer forces, and as we can see just from how that engagement started up, CpS very quickly losing his entire archer force in a matter of seconds. So instantly, like that, we can see that CpS has nothing but a few raiders at home, as well as 1 ballista to defend against the guests' 5 dragons, 13 catapults, and 5 ballistas that are in support of his opponent. Looks like the guest is also pulling workers to mine from a 5th base that he has going on. And so if CpS would have had a unit at this 4th and 5th base location, he probably would have been able to see the amount of gold that his opponent was getting. Because as we can see here, CpS has no idea of his opponent's 4th and 5th base being mined. So as we can see from this perspective, it looks like as a result of getting his archers kind of wiped out by the catapults, his CpS here has decided to go for an army composition that can really get and fight the catapults right away. But as we can see here with this composition, CpS GG's out, and our guest in the blue in the bottom right corner of Raiders AA4 is the winner of this match. And so I thought that was really well played. I thought the Raider harassment / Raider scout at the beginning of the game was very efficient in the fact that he was able to get so many Gatling guns. And at the end of the map, how this particular unit composition was able to destroy so many archers. We can take a look at the units lost tab. I hope that's visible for all of you to see. But the fact that the player in red lost so many of his units, as we can see, 23 raiders, about 60 archers in that entire frontal engagement was really something to spectacle at, I think. Yeah, so like I said, very well played. A good game from both the guest and CpS. Very entertaining to watch. And if you enjoyed my content, please leave a like. Please write a comment about what you think these players could have done to be a little bit better, and subscribe if you want to see more content. All right, guys. Hope you have a great day. See you tomorrow in the next video, and enjoy playing this game. All right, bye-bye, guys.